we have an award-winning actor and humanitarian, someone you will all know as a Burning 2020 surrogate, UNICEF ambassador, former Goodwill ambassador to the United Nations Development Program, the recipient of multiple NAACP awards and Emmy nominations, supporter of many unions, particularly postal workers unions. Please welcome Danny Glover.
Yes.
Thank you, Nick. Boy, it's hard to follow up Graham Elwood. You know, he had us all early in the morning, is it here, and early in the afternoon here, looking at and bringing some humor to this moment. Sometimes we want to laugh, but we deal with the reality of what it is right now. We're voting, understanding we're voting on Biden's name simply to get rid of Trump. And perhaps there's the idea of building a party, building a people's party from the bottom up. And I think it has to be from the bottom up to talk about, to support the issues and support the struggles of workers, unions, nurses, teachers, and everything else. We have to really talk about fundamentally about education and education as a constitutional right. Quality education is a constitutional right. We have to really talk about so many different things that are left off the platform, but we know that all these issues reside in certainly creating the kind of party, creating the kind of will, and building that kind of will that's necessary for us to the future to deal with climate change. As my sister Gerard Barnes talked about foreign policy, we don't deal with the issue of foreign policy here. We're always confronted with the issue of regime change wherever it is in the world. It has been such a long policy that has been consistent after administration after administration and after administration. So the things that we have to talk about, you know, I remember as working with the African Liberation Support Committees in the 70s and understanding that even with the will that was responsive to the freedom of those countries, there was always the underlying regime change that went on within those countries as well. So I think that our platform is full, but we have to kind of be consistent in the voices that really talk about what we really need, what people need at this desperate time, and those are evident. Those things are evident when we think about healthcare. The things are evident when we think about employment. We think about the vulgar focus on returning to the marketplace. Returning to the marketplace. Those are the jobs that are there. They're going to, that were there when we had a functioning quote unquote marketplace, when we had a growing marketplace and everything, aren't going to be there anymore. So those are the things that I think that are important to understand. How do we look at work? What is the relationship that we have to work? And how do we create the kind of transformative work and the kind of work that certainly it helps us develop as human beings and help us develop our communities. But we have to take this moment and do the work. In the face of fascism, growing fascism, in the face of what's happening in the streets where peaceful protesters are being attacked, viciously attacked, we have to begin to take this moment and understand that if we don't act now, if we don't do something now, we are preparing ourselves in a dark moment than we could ever imagine, a darker moment than we could ever imagine. Thank you again for allowing me to say my few words, and I look forward to listening to other comments of others as well. Thank you so much. And the idea that I'm on a Zoom call with many people whose work I've read, whose work I've appropriated it sometimes in my own language and understanding. Thank you.